Okay, folks, well, we're back. Every single time somebody calls me, the video stops. So, apologize for that, but we're back. Okay, so the question was asked, how did the Merovingians, the Franks, the Frankish people, expand and become dominant? Okay, how did they do it? How did they, out of all these barbarian tribes, how were they one of the only ones to get to the level that they did, almost duplicating what the Romans did? Okay, well, so you had this, right, the rise of this specific group with the Franks, the Merovingians, and they're the kings, right, and the people in charge of this, they're Franks, they're the people in charge of all the other Franks. But they have to gain they have to become allied with these other Frankish people, with these other powerful families. And how do you do that? Well, you could go and just fight them. You can go and just take them over. But as we've seen time and again, that when you just rely on sheer brute force and just smash, your enemy to a pulp, well, number one, you're weakening you as well, because you're hurting someone who should be your ally, and so then other people come in there, and so to pick up the pieces, and you weaken yourself, because you're losing men fighting against a group that should be allied with you anyway. And so the Merovingians, for the large part, they did not do that. Their conquest was a big thing, and they would fight another Frankish family, to consolidate power. But for the most part, they did these things, okay? And the biggest one, the theme of this, is bribery. That's basically what it was, folks. Bribing your erstwhile enemies to become your erstwhile allies. Because it's in the long run, it's much cheaper than to sit there and raise armies and fight over and over again, because wars can take years and everything else. So how did they do? They did bribes. So first things first, they would bribe other powerful families, with gifts of land. Because remember, like we talked about, good land is in a major premium in Europe. And so they would, if they owned huge chunks of land, which they did, they would offer these sizable plots of land to a powerful family, basically saying, join with us, be with us, be part of this Frankish thing that we're doing. You're Franks too, right? And we'll give you this, we will bequeath you this huge area of land, okay? And all the people on it and everything on it is yours, okay? You're still going to pay taxes to us, but it's yours, okay? Number two, well, the old fashioned is give money, okay? Gifts of gold. People like gold, and they like lots of it. And so here, I will pay you to be my friend. I will pay you to be my ally, okay? Excuse me. Gifts of familial connections. This is something that we've seen for thousands of years before, and we will see for 1,000 years afterwards. We connect the families together, literally by marriage and eventually by blood, okay? So you have the Merovingian, right, clan. The Merovingian family is the most powerful family in the Frankish, kingdom. They are in charge, but they need the help of other powerful families. And so you offer a connection literally to the family. If you have a royal daughter, right, a princess, you're going to marry her to the son of this powerful family that you want to be allies with. And then their children are going to unify the two families even more, okay? Or you have a son, and you're going to find, the eligible daughter of a powerful man and his family, and you're going to marry them together. You're going to bring them together. So eventually, they'll be connected by marriage, but then their children will be connected. It will connect the families by blood, okay? And then number four, you're going to give gifts of advancement, okay? So basically, not only are you going to give them land, but you're going to name them, you're going to give them a title, you're going to name them something, right? The Duke of something, or the Prince of something, or the whatever of something. They're not only, because people like titles, they like this idea of joining in to the nobility, of the royalty. You're not just a normal person anymore. You're a person that has an army, you're a person that has land now, you're a person that has money, and people are flocking to be around you because you have all these things, and you now have a fancy title go along with it, and that title passes on to your son, and it's a point of pride that I have this and I get this, and it's given to me by the king. Okay, so this is these are the ways that we see the Frankish kings, the Merovingians, take power and start to consolidate their power. Okay, but I told you before, this is a double-edged sword. Why? This is good because you prevent just constant warfare. But why is it also bad? In the long run, this is going to hurt them as opposed to just help them. And why is this bad? Well, basically, it's bad because you're giving away everything of worth. Okay, everything that you had as a Merovingian, as a king, you've now what? You've given it away. You've given it to these people, and that's the only connection for a large degree that they have with you. You've given it to them in order to buy their friendship, in order to buy their alliance. And so once that runs out, are they going to be with you anymore? Not really. They're not siding with you because of some kind of old, some kind of nationalism. They're not all saying, we're all Franks, let's all get together. No. They're not saying it because they want to, fight these other barbarians. They want to fight these other barbarians, but not with you. So eventually, when you start handing out everything out of your pockets to give to other people so they'll be friends with you, once that runs out, are they still be friends with you? No. And most rappers have learned that the hard way. Okay? So once you give away all your stuff, imagine that. You start running out of friends. And we see that with these Merovingians, okay? There's another group, though, that comes up. They're Franks as well, too. That is going to take this information and they're going to, become very powerful with it in a different way. Okay? And so we have the Merovingians, right? So these are all Franks. These are all Frankish people. Okay. Underneath we have, so these are the kings, right? These are the people in charge. But remember, if you're the king, you're not sitting there micromanaging your kingdom. You're not going to every single thing. You're not putting out every single fire. It just doesn't work that way. Maybe in fairy tales, but in real life, the king does what the king does, which usually he's out hunting or with his royal mistress or just hanging out doing his thing. He has other people to do the busy work for him. He's got other people to do the dirty work for him. He's not getting his hands dirty. He's got counselors around him that are offering him advice on what decisions he should make. But for the most part, he has someone or something else that is calling the shots in his name. Okay? And that group of people, before I put that out there, let me explain what that group of people becomes. Okay. The Merovingians grow to rely on this. And this is called the major domo. Okay? This comes from the Latin for majorus dominus. We've seen that word before, dominus, when we saw like the second part of the empire, right? Dominus, or means lord, right? Or master, dominate. Major means like the best or chief, okay? Or like head person. And the English translation of this is called mayor of the palace. Okay? Now, when we see the word mayor, in a modern setting, we think this is the highest elected official in like a city. He or she is the mayor. But this was a person that was put in place. They weren't elected. They were put in place by the Merovingians, by the king, to be the head of their household, to be the head of the palace. Okay, so when the king's not doing something, he's ordering the major domo to do something. Okay, tell the people to do this because I will it. So the major domo would go out and say, King wants you to do this, so do it. The major domo would do everything. He would organize the armies. He would make sure that all of the bribery stuff was going on, right? He was putting out the feelers for different powerful families. He was offering the bribes, the gold, which titles, who got what land, everything else. And the family that started becoming the mayor of the palace all the time was this family. The Carolingians. Okay, the Carolingians. Carolingians were another powerful Frankish family, okay, who, through marriage and support, just like what we talked about, came to be the second most powerful family in this Frankish kingdom, underneath the Merovingians. They weren't the kings, but they were all the major domos. So it grew in time that when you were part of this family, the Carolingians, you were the mayor of the palace. And when you had a son, guess what? He was going to be mayor of the palace. It was never going to go to somebody else. It just became part of their familial history that the Carolingians were all going to be major domos. Okay? And they were going to be doing stuff for the kings. Are you figuring this out, folks? Have we figured out politics yet? Why are the Merovingians slowly strangling themselves by doing this method? Well, they're doing this, they're slowly strangling themselves because if you give one group so much power, do they eventually come to not need you anymore? Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. The Merovingians give the Carolingians, another Frankish family, so much power by giving them this office, major domo, that the Carolingians just slowly start assuming more and more power. Okay? They know all the secrets of the Franks. They know which families are getting ready to rebel. They know which families are loyal. They know which families have the most gold, which have no gold. They know the families that they should kiss their butt. They know the families they should, threaten. They know they've married their own family members into these other powerful family members. And they know all the rules and all the everything that the kings, that the Merovingians, have ordered them to do. Okay? They know it all. So in essence, who's actually running this kingdom? Is it the Merovingians or the Carolingians? And we know the answer to that eventually. Carolingians become the power behind the throne. The Merovingians still hold a kingship. It's king whoever. But it's this family, the Carolingians, are the ones that start to, everybody knows who's calling the shots, okay? Because, like the Merovingians find out, unfortunately too late, is that when you give away all of your chips to bargain with, you have nothing to bargain with. And they've given them all away to the Carolingians, and the Carolingians are the ones that, they start to assume more and more power, okay? All right. Now, going back to wrap this up, folks, going back to that Islamic conquest, right? Well, the Franks are up there too. They're in northern France, and the Muslims are spreading into Europe from the south, from Spain. They're taking over all of Spain. Well, what do they decide to do? Well, why stop? Nobody can stop them, so why stop, right? So what do? Okay. In the 730s, Islamic armies slowly start to in the 730s, the Islamic armies, they slowly start to spread deeper into the heart of Europe, which is where these Franks are, right? So they're located up here in the top.